Today I'm going to be talking about both grappling and restrained condition. Now, the difference can often be confusing, so let's start by defining both of them. This is back to conditions in D&D. For the grappled condition, the target's speed becomes 0, and they can't benefit from any extra bonus to speed. The condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated or, in effect, removes the grappled creature from the reach of the grappler or grappling effect, such as when being pushed away by something like the Thunderwave spell. Now, on to restrained. The restrained condition is extremely similar, both reducing the target's speed to 0, like grappled, but it is a lot better. First of all, it's a lot harder to remove. You can't just simply remove them from the grappler because it's not reliant on a grappler. Now, attack rolls against the restrained target have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage, very similar to a condition like blinded. They also have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. So, out of the two, the restrained condition is a lot harder to end and a lot worse. Grappling is easier and doesn't make it harder for you to hit them, just sort of restraining them, but does add more creative implications, which we'll get to. Now, if you take the grappler feat, it gives you advantage on attack rolls against creatures you are grappling, and you can use your action to try to pin the target, restraining both you and the target, which the restraining both aspect is one of the main drawbacks, as it means that both you have disadvantage, well, not against that target, but both you have a disadvantage and have advantage on attacks against them. So by doing that, you're putting yourself at a limitation, but giving your allies a chance to take advantage against that target. Also, bull grappling is sort of a large part of an attack, but just being sort of part of the attack in general allows you to still make an attack with it if you have extra attack. It is nice with the Tavern Brawler feat to grapple as a bonus action. And also, this is only after you make an attack with an improvised weapon, but still. Now, if you're grappling someone, you have to have at least one free hand to do so, or depending on the creature, it could be mouth or tendril. So this might give simic hybrids or lizard folk an advantage here. You make an athletics check, and the creature you're grappling makes an contest with either athletics or acrobatics, depending on the target. A grappled target can spend their action to repeat the save in order to attempt to break this restraint, and the grappler can spend its half its movement to move both the grapplee and the grappler. Additionally, Big B's hand is a grappling option, a way to escape the grappling ability is the freedom of movement, which allows you just to simply sacrifice 5 feet of movement instead of spending your action to attempt to break free of it. The Monster Hunter's supernatural defense ability also helps with this. Squat nimbleness feat, which gives both of these give bonuses to grappling. Many enemies can grapple. It's pretty much, part of an attack action, so most creatures can make this. But a lot of creatures who grapple as part of an attack get extra bonuses to that. For example, the Constrictor, Snake, Crocodile, Work of Smothering, Be Here, the list goes on and on. But when it comes to monsters in grappling, they often have attacks that auto-grapple, and basically there's no contest involved, and they have to beat a DC rather than making a contest if they want to attempt to break free. Also, a lot of these cause the creature to be restrained upon being grappled. Additionally, some creatures are immune to the grappled condition, including elementals, any type of ghost-like creature, and swarms. Now, for the restrained condition, there are many abilities, such as the Nature Cleric's Channel Divinity, the Net Weapon, Ensnaring Strike, Entangle, Avard's Black Tentacles, Flesh to Stone, the Chaining Effect of Imprisonment, among others. A lot of spells that restrain, as mentioned, as well as layer effects, but when it's with creatures, it's normally a sort of grapple toppled by the restrained. Now, a great example of the grapple feature on a creature is the Oaken Bolter from Mordecai Knight's Tone of Foes, which makes a ranged attack to restrain, and while doing so, the creature can still move, but only closer to the Oaken Bolter, kind of like them being pulled in. So it does add for some flexibility, but limited enough to make it interesting. Similarly to Grappled, immune to the restrained condition include ghost-like creatures, like shadows, as well as elementals and swarms. Grappling can pretty much only be brought on by an attack, while the restrained condition comes as part of enemy grapples or different effects, whether it be spells or layer actions, etc. A great combo is knocking a target prone and then grappling them, because they can't get up since their speed is 0, and as long as they're prone, you have advantage on attacks against them, which basically makes you override the grappler feat. Also, shoving the grappler is a great way to break the grapple, because you're forcing yourself to move away from the grappler and thus breaking the grapple. Also, since shoves and grapples are only part of your attack if you have multiple attacks, this can be pulled off in a single attack turn or even less. Grappling does take away a free hand, which means you might have to sacrifice a shield or such, except if you're like a monk where you just have free hands anyway. Now, this may not seem strong at first glance. There's a lot of cool grapple combo, like the prone grapple combo and being able to push out of it. Also, because of the movement that grappling offers, you can move an enemy into the position of a spell. For example, the monk is a great option. This pull the enemy into where other enemies are to get hit by the next fireball. The monk has evasion, so they are able to make their save. You can also push them, maybe even trying to push them off, grab them and pull them towards an off the cliff sort of position, or prevent an enemy from getting away if you don't want to kill them or want information. Also, smaller creatures, basically, you have to be within 2 size ranges of that creature, which means if it's sort of a small creature or a medium-sized creature and you have ways to enlarge yourself, you are out of that range if you move yourself to 2 sides different. For example, if a small sort of snake was going to attack you, enlarge reduce, boom, instantly breaks that grapple. Also, you can just teleport away, and you do not need to escape a grapple if the grappler is dead. It's not that detrimental, but using the right hands, such as the pliers, it can be very advantageous. Restrained as a condition is great for both melee fighters and casters, as melee fighters have advantage on the attack, and it's harder for the attacker to fight back against them, and casters because of that disadvantage on dex saves. And also, the net weapon is pretty cool. That was only a DC 10 check, which makes them pretty guaranteed to get out of it, except at lower levels, which is probably best at. It's really cool to have a restrained option at first level by using this net ability, which I've often overlooked. It basically sets your allies up by netting them, and all the enemies jump at them and make attacks. For them being restrained, they have advantage. And it also loses an entire turn trying to break free.